Hi guys. So happy Wednesday. So yesterday I was thinking about what I wanted to talk about, and I heard the Lord say, talk to the people about sex in the church. I was like, all right, sure. I believe that, no, I know that sex has been misconstrued and has been perverted by the world. God created sex, He created it to be a ministry in marriage. He created it to bring forth life. He created it to bond one another. He created it for us to become one. I've talked about it in earlier Soul Ties videos how before the church, before we had actual wedding services, once you you're now considered to be married, which is why if your marriage is not consummated, you can get divorced or annulled or whatever it is easier because you haven't consummated the marriage. That is a biblical principle. But I don't think that we talk about it enough, either at home or in the church. I know, like, growing up, we were just told, don't do it. But why? Like, no one ever explained to us why. Saying that it's for grown folks, like, that doesn't really, you know, help. That doesn't really explain. That doesn't really give you a revelation. That doesn't give you any context as to why we should wait. Like, now being a woman who understands her worth and understands her value and understands how precious her body is, I now understand that waiting until marriage is not just because God says so. Like, it's good for you, it's good for your soul, it's good for your spirit. Like, but we don't talk about it. We act like sex is this nasty thing. We act like sex is this disgusting hush hush situation that we're not supposed to talk about. But in reality, sex is one of the most beautiful things that you can have. Like, it's meant for people who are in love, for people, who want to produce children. But the world has made it such a nasty, dirty thing that we don't even talk about it. And that's something that we should be able to talk about. Like, we are sexual creatures. We are, when you meet someone, when you're attracted to someone, there's something inside of you that, not saying you want to have sex with them right away, sometimes, but it's just, there's a something inside of you that's just attracted to that person. So I just want us as a community, whether you are a believer, whether you are not a believer, if you're a parent, we need to be more open with talking to our children about sex. Like, I know when Christian and my niece, when they were younger, I just showed them pictures of herpes and was like, don't be having sex because you can get herpes. That wasn't right either. But, I know that my child waited longer than I to have sex, which I was like, praise the Lord. But, but I wish I would have done that differently. I wish I would have told him, because the stuff I wrote in my book is the same stuff I tell my son. I wish I would have told him that his body is valuable and that it is precious. And when you give yourself to someone, when you have sex with someone, you're giving yourself away to someone. You are connecting yourself to someone. You are binding and making yourself bound to another person forever until you pray to break that soul tie. So even if you think, oh, it's just a one-time thing, or you think I'm going to do this for the rest of my life, no matter what, you're always going to be bound to someone until you really pray and fast and break those soul ties. You're bound to that person forever. Like, their spirit, their stuff, their junk, you connect to that in sex. But I think that if we were to talk about it more openly and more freely, and to teach our children that sex is not a bad thing, it's not a dirty thing, it's not a nasty thing, it's something that God created and it's beautiful, it's ministry, you know what I mean? But we as a people, we get, so even when the word is brought up, we're like, people get all crazy about it. But it's not anything that we should hide from. It's not a conversation that we should shy away from. It's not anything that we need to put on the back burner. We should teach our children. You know, I remember when Christian was younger and his doctor was like, don't give him fake names for vagina and penis. So since Christian could talk, he been saying vagina and penis because his doctor was like, don't give him fake words. He needs to know what the real words are. And therefore, as he got older, he never thought of those things as bad or nasty because I didn't give him these stupid names. Like, you know what I mean? I just gave him, he just knew the real thing. And so, yeah, I just want us to be more open. I think God wants us to be more open and more honest and to have honest conversations and to talk about things that matter. And one thing that matters is sex. And your children being able to talk to you or talk to someone that they trust and that you trust about it is very important, because you don't want them learning from the streets. You don't want them learning from YouTube. Our kids now, like, they just can Google a Google search and anything and everything will pop up. So I would rather my kid learn from the church. I would rather my kid learn and hear it in Sunday school. You know what I mean? Like, I just want them to know. I want children to know, and adults, because a lot of adults don't know either, that sex is not a bad thing. It's not a dirty thing. It's something that God created. It's beautiful, but we need to understand the context of where we're supposed to have it. It's the context of marriage, because that's when it becomes ministry. Like, sex is the one sin that becomes not a sin. Like, one of my girlfriends said that one time, and I was like, dang, that's why the world perverts it so much. That's why Satan goes after anything that God creates as good. Satan tries to pervert, and he tries to turn and twist and make it wicked, and it's not. Like, it's not something that we should be shying away from. It's not something that's dirty. It's something that should embarrass us to talk about. We should be open and free to talk about those things and to talk about sex and to talk about, you know, your wants and your diswants. That's not a word. Likes and dislikes, or, you know, whatever it is. But it shouldn't be something that's hidden, because it's something that God created, and everything that he created is good. So yeah, let's talk about it. Let's have open conversations about it. Let's not shy away from discussions about it. Let's not teach our children, and we don't even only teach them that it's bad. It's just in the manner in that we bring it up, or that we, you know, shy away from it. That inadvertently teaches our children that it's something that they should be embarrassed about, or, you know, or shy away from, or not talk about. So we should just do a better job as people, as Christians. It should be talked about in the church more, and it should be talked about in our homes in a safe and in a, I don't know the word I'm looking for, but we should be able to talk about it in our homes. Our children should be able to come to us and feel like anything else. If they like a person, they like a boy or a girl in school, or if they're having a bad time, or, you know, if your kids come to you about other things, they should be just as free about coming to you to talk about sex, and they shouldn't feel like it's a dirty word or that it is something that shouldn't be talked about. So yeah, let's, adults, Christians, everybody, let's get ourselves together. Let's be able to talk about something that God created as natural, and let's have more conversations. And if you check out my YouTube, I do have videos on soul ties and stuff that goes deeper into that, to further explain how you get connected spiritually, physically, mentally to people when you have sex with them before they are your husband or your wife. It's crazy. But I love you guys, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.